Are you sometimes afraid to admit that you want money on your spiritual path? Well, what if your belief about money on your spiritual path isn't the problem, but the story you've built around it? Think about it. Most people carry this subtle, almost hidden guilt about wanting money or wanting more than they should, as if the moment they desire it, they are suddenly less spiritual. And maybe you've caught yourself thinking, if I want money or lots of it, does that mean I'm failing my spiritual path? Or I should not desire the material stuff because the desire itself it will only lead me to more suffering. But what if this whole belief that you are either spiritual or materialistic isn't the truth, but just another sneaky identity keeping you trapped from the abundance already available to you?
Trapped? No, thanks. I'm comfortable here. Why fix was not broken?
What if the problem isn't money at all, but the game your mind is playing with it? My name is Liv Kissper. I am an author on NonDuality and a transpersonal guide with a master's degree in transpersonal psychology and consciousness studies. And I work with ambitious but exhausted seekers and entrepreneurs longing for liberation, and that's grounded in direct experience without any mystic puzzles or religious superstition. And spirituality is often painted as this beautiful renouncement of worldly desires. You know the drill. The universe will provide everything I need. I don't need material things or money, or I just need enough, but should not be too greedy. Or I should never charge too much for my services. So let's talk about it. Maybe you'll find some unexpected layer of freedom around money that you really didn't see coming. And is it wrong to admit that you want money on your spiritual path? So in this video, let's expose both desire for money and renouncement of money. And the truth may shake up the whole foundation of why you are on your path at the first place. So let's pause and take a closer look at the renouncement first. What's hiding behind that renouncement? Or wanting only just little, just enough to get by, just enough to survive? Could it be superiority? Not the loud, obvious kind, but the sneaky, quiet kind.
Oh, please! I am not superior. I am just further along than most people. Big difference.
It's that subtle narrative that whispers, I am better than those materialistic people. I've transcended all that. Suddenly, this renouncement isn't about freedom anymore. It's about identity. It's about winning the spiritual game and looking a little more evolved, a little more moral than others. And if we are being brutally honest, doesn't that sound like just another survival strategy? Another way to stay safe, to stay in control, to be important?
Oh, sure, because wanting to survive is such a crime. My bad.
We'll speak about the survival story in just a moment and how it sabotages anything connected to your joy or freedom. But on the flip side, consider someone who is trying to run their business but feels unworthy to ask for money. They tell themselves, I can't charge too much for this, so they lower their prices, they over-deliver, and they burn out. Do you see the trap? Whether you are chasing money or rejecting it, you're still stuck in the same game. It's not about whether you want or renounce money. It's about the story driving your decisions. And that story is not about money at all. It's all about survival, symbolical survival. What if money itself isn't the problem? What if it's completely neutral, peaceful even? And the chaos? That's all us.
The real problem is society, duh.
Think about it. Money doesn't care whether you want it or reject it. It's just sitting there, doing absolutely nothing. What makes it powerful or terrifying is the meaning we project onto it.
Terrifying? Speak for yourself. I'm fine. It's everybody else that's the issue.
If you believe money will save you, it becomes a symbol of safety. If you believe rejecting money makes you virtuous, it becomes a symbol of morality or spiritual superiority. But in both cases, the story you are telling about it is the real culprit. And here is the big revelation. Until you see through that story, the game never ends. You'll keep chasing or rejecting or comparing or proving, all in the name of doing the right thing. And the ultimate disguise to keep self-identity alive, to stay in survival mode, chasing freedom and never really finding it. And if you are finding yourself constantly busy and hustling, I recommend that you read my book, How to Achieve Nothing, where we look into the illusion of time with a simple 3-step formula. And yes, the simple steps are unexpected and hidden from your view by the self-identity itself. But a quick warning, this is really about radical non-duality, but many people said that it relieved the stress around not having enough time or feeling that they are not doing enough. So if you are curious, I'm gonna leave you the link in the description of this video. And now take the spiritual identity, for example, the one that says, I've transcended money. I don't need material things, and that makes me superior. It might look peaceful and virtuous on the outside, but at its core, it's driven by fear. Fear of being ordinary, fear of not being seen as special, fear of losing the image of being the enlightened one or the one simply moral, more moral than others.
Well, I have transcended money, but I would not expect you to understand.
So the question isn't, is money bad or good? The question is, who is it that feels threatened by not enough or by too much money? And the answer, the one rejecting or chasing money. It's an identity that it has nothing to do with what you really are. It's a thought game of feeling worthy or not good enough. See, the self-identity just cannot wait to take a position. It always have to feel better than others, or it feels worse, never just enough. And it lives in a story in which either rejecting money brings you happiness by being more moral than others, or chasing money brings you happiness by having more power than others. Until you see through this story, the game never ends.
It's not a story, it's a reality. Ask my landlord.
You'll keep chasing or rejecting or comparing, settling or proving, all in the name of doing the right thing, the ultimate disguise to keep the self-identity alive, to stay in survival mode, chasing freedom and never finding it.
I don't need to prove my worth to anybody. I don't need a lot of money because I am a nice and loving person. It's just those suckers who are so greedy.
So let me ask you this. What's your story about money? Do you believe it will provide security? Do you believe rejecting it will make you free or better? And most importantly, who would you be without that story? And here is where things get even more radical. If money isn't the problem and the story is, then what does that say about the survival strategies we are clinging to? It's not just about money anymore, is it? It's about how the self-identity uses everything, relationships, careers, spirituality, to stay relevant, safe, and in control. And that's the cruel irony. What looks like freedom is just another trap. But what if freedom looks very differently than you imagine? What if freedom looks different than your survival story tells you it should look like? How you feel has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with your thinking about money.
I love money. I deserve a lot because I am so smart. But what if I lose it?
You don't know how things will change. And isn't that what we are really looking for? Not safety or superiority, but freedom. That okayness with uncertainty. Not control, but connection. Not more of anything, just the end of the story that says you need to put up a show to deserve a special place in this spiritual game. So if money no longer symbolized your safety, would you still chase it? And if rejecting money no longer symbolized your virtue, would you still renounce it? Or if money no longer symbolized your perceived worthiness, how much would you charge for your services? What would you do differently if money was just money? But there is the deepest twist. Without the story, it's not just your relationship with money that changes. It's your relationship with everything. Suddenly, you're not playing the game of survival anymore. You are not using people, achievements, or even spirituality to prove something about yourself. What self-identity would you lose if you stopped playing the money game altogether? And what would remain? What becomes possible when money is no longer a symbol of your worth, morality, or security? Freedom is not longer about what you have or don't have. It's about no longer needing anything to complete you. It's about the end of the endless loop of proving, chasing, or rejecting. So let me leave you with this. What would your life look like without the constant need to prove something, whether through money, virtue, or anything else? What would happen if you stopped trying to control how others see you through money or the lack of it? And finally, who would you be if you stopped playing the money game altogether? See, personal liberation is not a one-time event bringing some permanent escape by some special state as portrayed in popular stories. These hyper-convincing fairy tales are only meant to keep you in feeling inferior to others, obscuring the true freedom available to you already if you look into the right places. So, going beyond the illusion of duality means directly questioning the stories and embodying liberation as an introspective lifestyle. This is not reserved for a few special chosen ones, but for anyone valuing clarity and who has an open mind. So, join me in my channel where I offer a grounded perspective on personal liberation.